90% of consumers read online reviews before visiting a business. What do people see when they look you up online? We give you the tools you need to take control of your reputation. Send surveys to your customers via text message with Testimonial Collector. Get 5-star reviews on all the major platforms like Google, Yelp, and more. Track what people are saying about your business with Reputation Manager. Respond to comments and turn negative reviews into happy customers. See what your competitors' customers are saying about them with Competition Tracker. Learn great marketing tactics and what it takes to stay on top. A bigger social presence means more connections. Automatically generate and schedule engaging social media posts with Social 365. Build trust, boost sales, and grow your business.
Entrepreneur Life Show. Work toward being significant. Entrepreneur Life Show. Don't you worry, success will follow. Entrepreneur Life Show.
Hey there, everybody. It is Thursday, and welcome back to another day in the life of an entrepreneur. You are here watching the Entrepreneur Life Show, and for those who have been such faithful followers and subscribers on your favorite podcast platform, I always want to make sure I appreciate you and say thank you because I see your downloads. I am so appreciative. That means the guests that I'm bringing on the show, they mean something to you, and you like watching them. So of course we are streaming on about 9 or 10 different platforms. So if you are listening on one of your very favorite podcast apps, be sure you can also jump in on the live on either your Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, something like that. LinkedIn, and you can watch it live, or go to the entrepreneurlifeshow.com webpage. You can always watch the past interviews, and you can see the calendar for upcoming guests. We bring great thought-provoking guests, entertaining conversations to our listeners that can connect with you. So let's get the housekeeping out of the way. I would like to always thank Marketing Out the Box. They have been great for helping me, get the show out and people seeing it and expanding. And so that, and we're connecting with viewers all the time. So if you want more customers, check out I Want More Customers Now.com. And that is Sean Maddox. And then we have Spinwax Radio, which we are now also streaming on Spinwax Radio. So if they're looking for artists, worldwide exposure, make sure you check out spinwaxradio.com, and we are also streaming there, and you can also hear us on the replay. So today's guest, I have a really special guest today, because actually, let me tell you, I was so excited when I got her biography, because I had actually already heard of her. And I had already saw what she was doing. So when I got the introduction, I was like, hell yeah. So I was just like, excuse me, I shouldn't say hell yeah, huh? So anyway, I was like, yeah, I was excited because I already knew of her already. So, okay. So I hope I say her name right. She's a really special guest. So Tricia Messeroux, it's probably wrong, but anyway, she is an author, photographer, visionary creator. She inspired by, Black historians and influencers and visionaries. I mean, she's appeared on the Steve Harvey Show, CBS This Morning. She's done quite a bit. You guys have got to check her out. So when I bring her on, let me tell you, make sure you come back and watch the live interview so you can connect with her. Go to her website, check out her book, check out what she's doing. Let me tell you, this is exciting. And okay, let me bring on her show. Because I'm getting a little bit flustered. I'm excited to have her on right now. So let's bring her on the platform. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am wonderful. And I love all my guests, but I already knew of you. So when I got the bio, I was like, oh my God. I was like, so my assistant was like, how about, I'm like, yeah, just give her any day and time. It doesn't matter. We'll make we'll schedule whatever time she's good with. I'm okay with that. We don't even have to do the 10 a.m. I'm really excited to have you on the show, because you are not only inspiring, not just, to women and creators, because I know that you kind of ventured out on your own from even working, like a lot of us before we become entrepreneurs, which is a scary adventure, which we're going to get into. Sure. But before I start the questions, if you can just share a little bit about yourself before we get into the interview, in case people are not familiar.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't want to go too far back, because I'm sure we'll talk about it. But what I do right now, my name is Tricia Messeroux. A lot of people call me T-Mezz. It's my street name. No. But I'm a creative person. I didn't always start off that way, but I always knew if that was the path that I needed to be on. And I have created two brands. One is Toddlewood. Toddlewood, I started back in 2009, I want to say. And it started off with a little idea, with a purpose, and turned into something fantastic. So every year, usually except for the past 2 years because of COVID, I am the one who recreates Hollywood royalty from the red carpet of the Golden Globes, Grammys, and Oscars, movie posters, you name it, with little kids. So we recreate them. We do a whole casting call, the whole looks and what have you. I now have two coffee table books, which we'll talk about. And I have a production company where we actually film lots of videos and commercials, and I have a web series. So
that's what you brought up about as far as the historical photos.
Yes.
And you make them some very great influential people. So I want to just share a little video really quick with everybody, so that just because let me tell you, this is amazing with the zing at the end. So let me tell you, I just want to share this video really quick. So if you guys are watching live, it's great. If you're not, make sure you jump in on the live so you can see this It's really great.
And determination that 9-year-old Nia Thompson found in her hero, Harriet Tubman, a former slave turned abolitionist.
I was thinking was, girl, you're playing Harriet Tubman and you know how much you love her, and think about the emotions because you are going to nail this.
Messeroux photographed 13-year-old Jonathan Rador as John Lewis in this iconic image.
Meeting Jonathan Rador on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, it hit me right here because you know the story, you know the people. It looks just like John Lewis. He knew everything about good trouble.
What do you want people to take away from this project?
We're fighting for something more than just civil rights and voting rights. We're fighting for not be killed all the time.
Now that I've been in this project, I love my skin tones, I love the way I look. These are kids who will probably be leaders one day and will maybe make a change in the world.
Kids capturing not only the image,
That's just a little glimpse, you guys. And I mean, what inspired that?
Wow, so like I said, with Toddlewood has always been more of a fun project, really, so it's really about having a good time, giving the kids a day to be a celebrity for a day, and, really motivating. A lot of parents tell me, oh, my child's self-esteem is through the roof now because they were treated, so well, and they got the limelight and what have you. So it ended up just being a really fun project. Fast forward, everyone's always asked me to make the coffee table book of my work. And every year I said, I'm going to do that. But I never really had the heart or felt a passion to do it just yet. The situation with George Floyd happened, and Breonna Taylor, and so on and so forth. And, my family and I, we really got involved. So we protested, we made signs, we spoke up, we really wanted to get involved. And I have a platform called Toddlewood that's, has nothing but kids. And a lot of it, 75% of the kids are Black and brown kids, So I wanted to use that platform to make some type of impact for families and for kids. So that's when I decided to pivot. While everybody's pivoting because of COVID, I was pivoting on a creative standpoint to try and get kids to not only know about these civil rights activists, but really to celebrate their legacy, to know that these kids are able to sit on a bus in the front, back, middle of the bus, wherever they want. They're able to go to class with whatever color child is next to them. They're able to do all, go to restaurants and sit anywhere because of the people that came before them and fought for them. So that's where the Engineers of Equality project came about, is really trying to find a way to put that together and hopefully inspire future change makers.
I want to back up a little bit because I know a little part that I read is far before you went out and venture on your own into photography and your entrepreneur, in the world of being a independent business owner. You were working, but unhappy, frustrated.
Yeah.
Can you share the experience of when you just said, you know what, this isn't for me?
Yeah.
Why photography?
Yeah. I studied TV and film production. That's where I got my degree in, and then I minored in advertising marketing. I ended up working in the top advertising firms you can imagine. And it was very rare for a Black girl to climb the ladder so fast that I became senior vice president before I was even 30. And, in a predominantly white male, male environment. So, being very successful, flying all over the world, it was great, but I felt very stifled. I was really, really stifled creatively. There was so much that I wanted to do, but I felt I had a wall in front of me. And there's so much bureaucracy and red tape and all that stuff. So fast forward through all my travels, and I got married, and then I had my my first daughter, Skylar. And it wasn't until I went on a business trip. We were shooting Oreo cookies commercial for the Olympics, and I went on a business trip, and it was in Shanghai, and I didn't want to go, but I had to go. So I went to Shanghai. Was there for 2 weeks. Everything went left, and so many things went wrong at the shoot. So we had to move the shoot from Shanghai to Australia. So that means another 3 weeks that I was going to be away from my then 3-year-old daughter. I decided to fly back home, 22 hours back to New York, just to stay with her for about 48 hours, and then fly 20 something hours to Australia to do the shoot. And when I got home for that 48 hours, she's 3 years old. She looked at me like she saw me yesterday because she was so used to me not being around. So now as a mom, that hurts my heart. So I knew I had to make a change. I can't live that life because I can't take that time back with my child. And also I wasn't fulfilled, personally on a creative standpoint as it is. So it was at that time I knew I had to make some changes, and I need to make it quickly. And that's when I started moonlighting with, photography and moonlighting there, and then tried to come up with an idea. As an ideas person I am, I tried to come up with an idea that made a lot of sense. And my 3-year-old was my very first model.
Oh, well, okay. So did you think that, of course, when you became interested in photography, that would then be your end career, as how you pivoted that into the when you started doing the vision photographs and then to a book? I mean, did you even foresee?
Not even a little bit. I really envisioned doing photography on the side, seeing where it came from. My vision was to have my own studio and do smaller stuff, and I would just be happy walking away from mid 6-figure salary and just live a cute little life, whatever, as best I can, and try to get over all the glamorous life I was living. But never did I think that I would actually, it would actually excel to place it to where it has. So what started off, which is why I tell everybody, even young kids today, it could start off with a little idea, but you just have to do it. You can't just say, oh, you can't just talk about it. You have to be about it. And that's exactly how it happened. I never thought it was going to be as big as it is, ever.
So when I want to know, how did it come into fruition where Steve Harvey, and even appearing on CBS Today, like, how did that even come about?
Interesting thing is, Toddlewood, like I said, I started in 2009. It started getting insane buzz in, I want to say, in 2011. And it was completely organic. I didn't have no publicists, I had no help, no nothing. It was completely organic. The funny thing is, can I tell you the funny story? So one of my girlfriends called me and she said, hey, she worked for a newspaper. She said, hey, I need to do a story, because I was looking for a story. So I need to do a story for my little newspaper, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm in between meetings. Like, yeah, okay, fine. So I'm literally in the hallway answering her questions so she can write up the story. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then I did this and I did that. And I just, okay, great. Bye. Okay, bye. So one of my sorority sisters, right? And then, so she wrote up the story. So I forgot all about it. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from a producer from Say Show. And he goes, hey, this is Adam from Say Show. I thought it was my guy friends. I hung up. He calls back. I hung up again. He calls back. So he sends me an email. And the email, I was like, oh my God. And then Entertainment Tonight calls and Inside Edition calls and all. So then I called my girlfriend. I said, so what was the name of that news you're working for? She's like, oh, I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. It's the Huffington Post. I'm like,
oh, wow. That is funny.
So needless to say, after that, every single year, we're featured every January through April, May, Met Gala time, every January through April, May, every single year, nonstop, multiple media outlets. For Engineers of Equality with Steve Harvey and CBS News and what have you, obviously the message behind it was really something that they really wanted to expose, and they really felt a passion for it. So that's why, those and CBS, they followed me for 6 months to create. Yeah, they followed the process for Engineers of Quality and my next book, which is Trailblazher. So Trailblazher, they followed for that one too, and they just like every shoot that I was doing, they showed up, interview me, interview the kids. It's really been amazing.
So I know I read that because of how vibrant your photos are and just how it portrays some really influential celebrities, that you were able to. There was some gallery showings in New York.
Yes.
And how did that come into fruition? I mean, and I'm sure that these celebrities were just looking at these photos like, I mean, they're really good. I mean, they're so on point. Like they say, a picture has 1,000, where they like have 1,000,000, where they tell a story.
I know. Yeah, it's very important that we do a very in-depth, detailed casting call. Mm-hmm. So the casting call, it's not just look close to them. They have to look really, really close to these. And when I look at the child and I speak to the child, just their inflections, their mannerisms, their whatever, I know how I'm going to bring it out of them through hair, makeup direction, and all that stuff. And I can see where it can go. So they don't always look exactly like that celebrity, but I know what I can do to transform them and bring it out, so that people can like almost see. It's almost like magic, you know what I mean? So that's why it's really important. And when it came to like, the gallery exhibits, like I've had a couple of gallery exhibits, and people found out about it, which has been fantastic. And they're really the unveiling. So we usually cover up everything and we unveil it one by one. And it's a lot of fun, and the oohs and the ahs and the, oh my gosh, and can I take a picture by it, and things like that. So it's been really, really awesome. So,
and is that the when you decided I know on your first book, where did you that title, that name? Why?
Engineers of Equality.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's funny because the key word is engineers, right? So equality is obvious. The key word is engineers, and it's just people who activate, right? Engineers is just activating, making something work, fixing something, doing something, and that's where the premise of the thought process of, believe it or not, my husband came up with the word engineers, and he just we brainstormed so much about. I needed a powerful title. I needed something different. It couldn't be Toddlewoods of equality. It couldn't be kids of equality. It needs to be something different. And I love the word engineers because it is about making something work, activating something, pushing something forward. And I think, and that's what these people did. They really made a difference. They didn't sit back. So you think of the word activist, the key word in activist is act, right? And that's what they did. They didn't talk about it. They acted on it. And that's the only reason why we're able to be where we are today. And we still have work to do, obviously. Probably will always, but there'll always be engineers of equality for as long as we probably is,
Have you ever thought or considered that your book could be used as in maybe in the elementary, junior curriculum, and where sharing, because it really, I think, can be so relatable. Because young people don't realize, to a lot of the people who came before us, and maybe
100%.
in high school, sort of, because the curriculum really isn't there. We kind of have to search for it on my own. It's something that could be used in school curriculum or sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've spoken to quite a few superintendents, and I've had massive amounts of Zooms with classrooms, and schools have purchased books. So I'm trying to find a way to get it naturally into the school systems, you know what I mean, throughout the nation. I think that'd be good, because what it is, when people think of civil rights activists, they think of, Martin Luther King, right?
Right.
That's the first and only one they think of. And they're just like, oh yeah, I know Martin Luther King.
Correct.
And it's like, okay, but that's all they know. But I'm just like, okay, but do you know who this is? You know what I mean? Medgar Evers. And do you know who? And this one, I didn't even know who she was. I mean, some of these, it was a learning experience for myself. I didn't even know who she was when I first, Mary McCarthy Bethune.
Oh, Mary Beth, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, she's part of my heritage.
Is
my
she
father's
really?
Side, yes, and from DC, and so when I saw that was one of the things that had connected me, and with women's black colleges and educating. And so I thought, oh my gosh, because yeah, it's on my father's side.
That's amazing. Good for you. Good
So
for you. So
it's
yeah, so I mean, and they're not just, you know, pictures. You know, we tell their story. You know what I mean? So we tell their story. We get into their famous quotes and what they're known for. As we know,
yeah, yeah, right.
You know, so everybody has a bio, and everybody has a quote, and everybody has a reason for why we are coining them an engineer of equality. And you know, and let me tell you, some of the parents didn't even know some people. I'll admit I'm one of them. You know, did a lot of research. So yeah, you know, it's funny because a lot of families and friends are constantly telling, you know, they constantly telling me about, you know, how I inspire people and I influence people, and especially young girls and things like that. I have 2 young girls. So I have one, you know, the 3-year-old is now 16, and then I have an 11-year-old, and I want them to be trailblazers. You know, I want them to, like any other mom who has girls, you know, you want them to make a difference. And there's so much that we have to fight for, you know. So not only you know, there's the racial barrier, but there's also the being a female, right? So my thought was to create, similar to Engineers of Equality, a series of images of women who actually made groundbreaking experiences in their career. So women who are pioneers, women who are leaders, women who have excelled in their craft and what they do. And these women, they're multicultural. So we have, you know, Vera Wang, we have, off the top of my head, Gloria Steinem. You know, we even have some fun ones. Iris Apfel, if you know who she is.
That is great.
Isn't it awesome?
Wow.
You know, some fun ones, you know, Iris, you know, with her look.
Yeah.
You know, so it goes from being creative to, you know, political. You know, we have Michelle Obama as well, Vice President Kamala Harris, the founder of Girl Scouts, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's just women that, and you didn't even think about her, right? So, you know, Amelia Earhart, you know, it's women who just made a difference. And, you know, like everybody, and this lady, of course, we got to have, you know, recognize her, you know, CJ Walker, and, you know, first woman who was on in astronaut, Mae Jemison, Mia Hamm Soccer, you know, Oprah Winfrey, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know. So it really crosses the gamut of all these women. And I want these girls, no matter what you look like, to be able to say, I can too. You know, these women did it. And because of them, I'm also able to do this as well. So I want to be a pioneer. I want to be a trailblazer, because there are going to be some girls coming behind me as well.
I know. Are you considering, because obviously, you know, you can't get everybody in, because I mean, that took a long time.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
That making turning into like a series every couple of years.
Yes.
You know, a new different edition of a series. And how long did it actually take you to even just put it together with just the time?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be volumes for each of this. So we have volume 1 for both. So we're going to start working on volume 2 for both this summer, to kick off for Black History Month and Women's History Month, new books for 2023. So I'm very excited about that. So a whole new casting, a whole new fun with these kids. It's a lot of fun. I love shooting with kids. And putting it all together, comfortably, it takes me, I would say 6 to 8 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Engineers of Equality, I did it in 3.5 months, because I was so eager to get it done and out in time for Black History Month, right after, you know, the Georgia. So in 2020, I think. So comfortably, yeah, it would take about 6 to 8 months to get everything shot, all the writing, all the post-production, all the proofreading, and just, talking to folks and what have you. So my goal is, and I have a very good person who I'm hoping to make this happen, is to get a book agent, and hopefully get publishing deals. That would be phenomenal, and I think that could propel this to such immense degrees.
I know I want to talk about your web series. You're doing so much, and so and the dudes.
Yes.
I actually want one. They're so entertaining and their personality. How did that come about and you chose them? Because let me tell you, they have such personality too.
Oh my God. The dudes. Okay. So I have a web series called Foods and Dudes. And Foods and Dudes, literally, I came up with it. Like I feel like I just like wake up in the morning. I'm just like, honey, this is what we're gonna do. My husband. I'm like, oh, he's a glutton for punishment. He's still with me, but because all my crazy ideas. This one includes him actually. So so Foods and Dudes really came about because during the pandemic, and we, and I love to eat. I love to have, restaurants and all that stuff. That was restricted. So there was a small group of friends. So it was my husband, myself, and 3 other couples. We would have dinners, but we'd rotate each other's houses who's going to host the dinner, right? And we'd fancy it up and try to outdo each other and all that stuff. And every time it came to one of the houses, Gerard, he would always be the one doing the cooking. And Gerard is a culinary artist. So I was just like, you know what? All us girls, we're always doing the cooking. And so my vision was, you know what? I need to get more men in the kitchen. So I decided to create this cooking show with Gerard being the teacher, the culinary artist, invite men to the kitchen, and he would teach them how to cook different meals for their loved ones. But at the guys get together and the camaraderie and the dude thing or whatever, they talk. They talk about everything, you name it, like they call it the barbershop talk. So then barbershop talk. So I, as one of the very few girls in the entire place, because I'm directing, and women who watch it, it's kind of like we're a fly on the wall, listening to the banter,
right.
Listening to their thoughts, listening to all that while they're cooking, and they're hysterical. So the other person, so Gerard G is the main culinary artist. He's the host. The co-host is my husband, Sean, Mr. Fantastic. So Mr. Fantastic is the big, loud, he's the personality guy. And it's just the chemistry has been incredible. We've had season 1 and 2. We're in the last 3 episodes of season 2. And once again, organic media exposure. It's been incredible. Like right off the bat, Kelly Clarkson called. Yeah. NBC Morning News called, and it's just been amazing.
So you're venturing into now, the media part of the business and how you're able to, because obviously you've done it so you can show people as well as now give them exposure. Because in the beginning, you were talking about how you didn't have a publicist, like you didn't have anything.
Right.
And you were having to figure that out yourself. And
Right.
now understanding how it works, now you've kind of started your own venture on your own.
Yeah, well, more along the lines of just in production. So I do production. I'm still director and photographer and visionary, coming up with ideas. As far as the public relations part of it, like I said, it was always organic, but I've never I never knew how to figure it out. I never really had a passion to figure it out. The calls just came. But as of right now, I really wanted to get to a different place. I want to get it to a different level. I don't have the manpower or the know-how or the connections to do anything PR or publicist related. So now I do have a publicist, a strategist, and he's absolutely phenomenal. So this is really going to help my businesses really get to the next level, and more strategically and smarter. You know what I mean? So that's why it's always good to have a good team of people who know what they're doing, and they're really good at what they're doing.
Right.
And that's why, him, my new publicist, first time ever having a publicist, being my spearheading the media part of it. I'm really excited to see where Food to Dudes goes, where Toddlewood and my books go, and see what happens.
So on your production side, for people who would want to and have and envision to, because there's a lot of people who write books and authors, and sometimes it's your your entire book tells a story with photos saying a lot. And sometimes it depends. It's what photo and where you place it in book. I wrote a book. It's not a biography or anything. It's an educational book.
Sure.
But I know that when I wrote it and I just had the content, I didn't understand the importance of the graphics and the pictures with the content. I didn't understand. I had to pay somebody to figure that out.
Yep.
But and so for you, I'm sure that people can look at you and say, hey, I'm ready. I want to do something similar. Or how can you assist them with when it comes to the production part?
Yeah. So what I've done this with two other authors. I'm we're very much more visual people. So when it comes to people who are writing a book, I have designed covers, like book covers. My creative group has done that. So we shot book covers. So we do, come up with, okay, so what is your book about? What is this? This, the other thing, whatever. And then we'd either graphically design a book cover, or we would shoot something and design something around that. For instance, there's an author. Her name is Fit Doc Michelle Reed. She's a doctor, a physician, but she's into physical fitness and what have you. And she wrote a book, Physically Fit, Mentally Strong, Physically Fit, something to that effect. And we shot her book cover, we designed it, and it did so well because she had her original book cover, and it just didn't work. And so she came to us, and we did that for her. So when it comes to book covers, yes. When it comes to anything inside a book, it has to, for us to be able to be involved, it has to be something that is more graphically involved. So we have illustrators who can do illustration, who has done children's books. That's one of my guys who does that, which is fantastic. Design it, structure it, things like that. But when it comes to like proofreading and things like that, no, we don't do that. But anything graphic or visual context, that's what we do.
Have you thought of coming up with any other web series shows? You have possibly coming into fruition?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a couple of web series that, well, there's one that we're working on right now. I came up with another idea. I'm trying to put together a sizzle reel around it, and this is more of a competition one, which is really cute. And I think it's going to be really big. So I'm trying to put together a sizzle reel around it and try to start pitching it to different networks and seeing who's going to be interested in it. But no, I have ideas for these, and I really do. And you could say, oh, can you come up with a show about a pen? It'll be the best show about a pen ever.
What is your creative? I mean, because you seem so diverse. I mean, it's obviously that you're extremely diverse. Your creative process, or where you actually get the ideas that you do, come up just not only in what you created as in your books and the web series, but is it people you connect with? Just or I mean, like some people say they could be walking down the street and just saw something and it's like, I'm going to do something with that.
Yeah. It just comes to me because I have a lot of Godfidence. I've got a lot of Godfidence. That's what I call it, right? So I'm a very spiritual person, and I really believe that God just, gives it to me when I need it. So sometimes I'll be in the shower and I'll come up with something. I'll be on the train and come up with something. It has to be obviously a time where I'm not doing something else because I need my brain to just be vegging out. And then, God will give me the thought and just tell me, okay, this is another one, go for it. And I go for it. So I never usually sit on something that I think is going to be big. I just realized that, okay, this actually is a good, and there's been plenty of ideas. I'm just like, oh, it's a good idea. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do this idea. And the next day I'm just like, yeah, that was all right. But then there are days that I'm just like, it won't leave my mind. And that's when I feel like God is telling me, okay, you got to do this because this will take you somewhere. And I
Now,
do.
I want to back up a little bit because I know that for when being a CP, a senior VP account manager, and of course, it's I mean, your position and leaving, your paycheck,
Yeah.
had to have been extremely frightening. I mean, so if we can go back into like for people who, they want to do things and venture on their own, they have a talent that they're afraid to move forward or take that risk. Or because people see the word risk and they think, what's a risk? So I won't, because they take that word risk as negative
Right.
rather than potentially positive.
Right.
And so if you can kind of share, like, um, when you did that, what obstacles, and you just said, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to continue to do this, no even matter what the struggle is, because you've gone so far, and it doesn't seem like that long period of a time. Maybe to you,
Right.
it seemed like a long time
Right.
going through it. You know what I'm saying? But a short time for us on the outside looking at it.
Yeah. So what I can say about that is, just be smart about it, first of all, right? So, one, do your research. So it's not just, okay, I'm done and I'm leaving. Do your research. Try and find whatever you do, try and find your niche, like what makes your idea different than the rest. And of course, so many ideas and shops and this, that, and the other thing, it's saturated. They're out there, but you have to find what, even if it's a small thing, what is that small thing that's different or that you can leverage and say, this is why you need to come here instead of there. So that you can, become successful, because otherwise you're just going to be, the competition is going to be too great, So one, do your research, find the one thing that's differentiating about what you have to offer. And then two, like I said, I started a moonlighting. I was working and working my craft on the weekends, on after work. It was a lot of very little sleep. But sometimes you have to grind while you're making your money so that you cannot be in the poorhouse all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And depending on what your aspiration is, really look into possibly, loans, look into possibly grants and different, loans. You become a member of a MBWE. If you're a woman, there's a lot of different organizations that people can jump on and get grants. There's so much money out there. We just have to find it. So I never tell people just to up and leave, because that's not smart. You have to do the smart thing, especially if you have a family. You got to be smart. Have a plan.
What kind of pressure did you feel when having put the books together for such? I mean, the people that they're not just influential people, but they're historians. They're people that our children's children should know or are going to know. And it's kind of like, I've had a few like different celebrities on the show, and where they had to portray, different musicians or artists in the past, like Leon and the Temptation. And it had to have been somewhat pressure of wanting to make sure that you get their story out right without people, because some people can misunderstand what you're doing and the intention, setting them in a good light at such a difficult time. Does that make sense? Was there any pressure, like, I got to get this right, because this is?
I think there's always pressure for that, especially as an artist. Whether it's the image or the text, the content, the story itself. So there's always a reality check done. If I'm going to do this, it has to be correct or I'm done. So I don't live in a vacuum. I really have a lot of people that I rely on to fact check me, and to double, triple, cross all my my T's and dot my I's. And I worked with a writer, one of my sorority sisters. She's a writer, and I worked with her because she does research and she does whatever. So we work together to make sure that whatever's going in either one of the two books is accurate, and we're able to back it up. So some of the information is regular knowledge, and some of the information is stuff that people may not have known about this individual, but we need to make sure that we have. So it's not just Wikipedia search,
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely like really dig in to make sure that you didn't get it, you didn't misspeak.
So, I mean, just knowing what specific content, because there's so much content you could add.
I know.
What is going to be relatable to the person who is going to look at it and
Right.
look at the picture and feel the inspiration out of the picture with the specific content. I mean, I'm not a writer, but when I read and I look at certain things, I know how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And that feeling it says a lot with just a picture.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's extremely inspiring. It's just really good.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by it.
Thank
I
you.
want to say that, I know we're coming close to the end of the show, but I want to bring up another video because I do want people who are watching or listening. And I have quite a bit of authors on the show, but I say that this is it's so, I think it's for everybody. Your coffee table books are definitely for everybody.
Oh,
and
it is.
those who don't know their history or want to understand their history, if you're not a reader and it just because you have the quotes and inspiration from very visionary people, I think if they get the book and look at them, it will want to lead them into researching who they are. Does that make sense?
Getting more information.
Yes.
Particular person. It's very true. And the book reads for adults. So it reads, so it's not an elementary school book at all. So it reads, grown, it reads adult and high school. And so for the younger kids, parents read it to them. But it is it's meant to be really inspiring. And yeah, it actually piqued people's interest about these people. There's one person in the book who is in engineers of equality specifically.
Not everybody, my next guest has become famous.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that yet.
No, I was going to say there's one person in the book who is actually, people have been researching her because for engineers of equality, because she doesn't look like everybody else that's in this book.
Okay.
She's Caucasian, and she was part of the Freedom Riders, Joan Trump-Poor, So even somebody like her, people researching her, like, why is she in this book? And they realize that she was really powerful in the civil rights movement and still is today. And she knows about, and I interviewed her for Engineers of Equality. And she's one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. She was really good friends with Medgar Evers. And she's even to today, she holds podcasts, she teaches, she does speaking engagements. She's amazing.
So that I'm glad you said that because there's so many people that and I can say, including myself, unless you see like you're watching one, I watch PBS and the History Channel a lot.
Sure.
But unless you're watching, one of the biographies or about historians or people who have made a change in, I would say, culture of Black history culture. A lot of people don't give a lot of credit to. There were other people than African Americans. I'm not sure that people how they can be Black or African American. I don't want to offend anybody because I don't know what term is anymore without offending people. But there's so many people of other race that were involved that people seem to forget.
100%, or never knew. Yeah, or never knew. They risked their lives just to stand side by side with us.
Yeah,
literally risked their lives. Got beat down. There's one person, and he's not in this book. He might be, but I know I'm one of my clients. He's on his board of directors, and he's a civil rights activist, and he's an attorney. He's a Caucasian. He's white, and he still has a scars that said "N lover" on his chest, like the full word, because he was attacked, and they literally scarred it on his chest. It's still there. So so there are people like him, you know what I mean? So we have to, give respect.
So I want to show a short little clip and that I kind of throw out really quick, but with Steve Harvey. Before we go, and then I want to also make sure that everybody, you come back to the website to watch the interview. Miss Tricia is going to tell us how you can find her. I really, really, really this is, I don't even know how to say, this is just what you're doing is it's great. I understand, just not a lot of words to say, because people say amazing. It's just better than amazing. So I didn't want to say that.
Aw.
So hold on, I just want to show a really good quick clip, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Creative spin that she puts on celebrity red carpet photos. She's taken Hollywood A-listers like Spike Lee, Viola Davis, and Regina King, shrunk them down to size using child models. And she's mixing it up with her latest project by focusing on social and civil rights heroes like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Ida B. Wells. Please welcome the visionary creator of Toddlewood, Tricia Messeroux. Hey, Tricia.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. So tell me this. So how was the Toddlewood Engineers of Equality Project born?
Wow, it started really when, we had a crazy spring and summer, and it continues, right? Because of the murders of, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And it's one of those things that my family and we started protesting. We protested every which way we could. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old daughter. We got involved. But I have this platform and I have Toddlewood, and I tried to think of, how can Toddlewood get involved and how can I impact children to understand the need for change makers,
So I just had to show a quick, I just want to make sure people remember that, and, the inspiration that it comes from. And you guys really just like it. You have to check out, you have to get the book. I mean, it's just a great venture.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
And so before we go, I do want to make sure that everyone knows where they can find you, where they connect with you as well. It will be on the website. So if any of you guys missed something, just go to the website, entrepreneurlifeshow.com. The entire interview will be there, including the website, how you can get the book. But of course, you can directly connect with Miss Tricia.
Yes. So definitely connect with me. You can, my website is toddlewood.com. That's TODDLEWOOD.com. And follow me on Instagram, Facebook, but mainly Instagram. So it's just at Toddlewood, TODDLEWOOD, where, I have some other fun stuff, family stuff there and what have you. But we also put out the casting calls, and we also put out what's new, what's next, and promote the book and really try and inspire people. So that's how you can connect with me.
Well, thank you, everybody who has tuned in, especially those I kind of see you on the podcast. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys really, really enjoyed this segment. I hope you enjoy all the segment, but I really hope you enjoyed this segment. And be sure to give a thumbs up, share it, and watch it on the replay. And thanks to our sponsors for Spinwax Radio. And make sure you can hear it on there. Download the app, spinwaxradio.com. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.